Ladies and gentlemen, His Serene Highness Prince Freï of Lorenzburg and the Right Honourable the Baroness Anna Parks Andrew.
After meeting at the NSU Winter Session in 2017, Betsy Lamborn, who is not here today, Anna, and myself began a collaboration that has explored a speculative strand of our respective family histories. See if I can find out. Anna's connection to an ancient Irish royal lineage, as well as to the Scottish clan Douglas, presented a suitably evocative background to serve as matrix for the story we are going to tell. Our research took us back to a gruesome event that took place in 15th century Scotland in the so-called Black Dinner of 1440. The main heirs of the powerful Clan Douglas were murdered on the orders of the Chancellor to the 10-year-old King James II of Scotland. In our hypothetical retelling of the story, a convenient twist of fate had inserted my own relative, Lourenzburg Peacock, the eldest son of the reigning chief of Lorenzburg in the midst of the Black Dinner events. Unfortunately for Rune, he was murdered along with the high-ranking Douglases. However, unbeknownst to anyone, Rune and a certain young lady named Elizabeth Douglas had fallen in love and come together in amorous common grace. And so, in the late summer of 1441, Elizabeth delivered a daughter who was christened Agnes Pia Douglas, also known as Little P to her circle of intimates. Pia would later brave the seas to bring the embalmed heart of her murdered father to the ancestral lands in faraway Sweden. For the purposes of our collaboration and as a meditation, on her own cultural heritage, on crafts that would be typical for noble women in the past, Anna embroidered by hand a neo-medievalist tapestry depicting key events from her family's mythological history, as well as the Black Dinner itself and Agnes Pia's journey. Betsy Lamborn contributed an epic poem telling on the story of Agnes Pia's hardships as she found her way back to her father's native land. Myself, I provided narrative contents to tie it all together as part of the Lourenzburg mythos. Lourenzburg, for those who haven't met me before, is an independent micronation of which I am the reigning prince. I will expand on this more later in the presentation. As we take our collaboration further, Anne and I realized that our shared speculative past may provide a horizon that calls others to take part in our explorations. The method we use to transport the eager adventurers to this magical elsewhere is known as the role-playing game, or RPG for short. In this presentation, we propose that magical machinations and role-playing games are Foucaultian heterotopias. They offer spaces that have the capacity to house radically different elements within themselves without losing their own structure. The role-playing game session has the potential to become an infinitely open site where the subjective, as well as that which is other, is fluid and negotiable. But before moving on, I think it is necessary I say a word or two about Lorenzburg. So, in December of 2014, I Freudian typed myself into the prince to become the prince of the Principality of Lorenzburg. In a grant application, I wanted to stress the importance of being brought up in Lorenzbou, a city section in the medium-sized city of Kvarnström. After many hours of poring over word choices and imagery that would loosen the strings in the funding body's purses, Homer nodded, and yes, I refer to myself, of course. And Lorenzburg came out as Lorenzburg. Nearing daybreak, after many cups of coffee and repeated proofreadings, I became aware of my blunder and corrected it. However, as is so often the case in myths and fairy tales, my simple mistake had invited something marvelous to come through the cracks between the worlds, and Lorenzburg was forever out of the wizard's hat and it couldn't go back in. A few days later, I officially declared my Micronation independent from Sweden. And it's a lovely place and it's nestled between playgrounds, semi-detached houses and forest area in the mundane city section of Lourenzbou. The Micronation is situated in a speculative what-if quantum space. Ordinary yes or no, real imagined dualisms are suspended in favor of a third option of non-choosing a set reality. Because of this quantum quality, the nation fluctuates between the mundane and the fairy tale dimensions, and similarly, people too can have a mundane and a fairy tale-esque aspect. I, as a prince of fabled Lorenzburg, am the realm's bridgehead in this part of reality. It is my sacred task to manifest Lorenzburg as clearly as possible so that others can find their way to the fairy tale. The world of Lorenzburg, to my thinking, exists as a magical elsewhere. As a demiurge, as the world maker, I cast the nets of imagination to catch weird and wonderful things to affix to the principality's ever-evolving map, or to be collected as lore in dusty tomes hidden in the realm's libraries. As prince, I invite citizens and collaborators to leave their own marks on Lorenzburg's landscape. Above all, my fairy tale territory, or rather out-territory, is a hybrid of myths, images, dreams, found objects, and snippets of incantations overheard on buses and trains. Sadly, it is nearly impossible to travel to the actual Lorenzburg, to inhale the resinous fumes of the perfumed mountains, to cruise the river Rubicon, or to converse with dwarves or florids or lichtensteins. However, if it is difficult to transport oneself in the flesh, the role-playing game session allows our mind's eye to fly on the wings of storytelling all the way to the shores to Lorenzburg. It is fast, it is free, it is fun. And in the twinkling of an eye and with the roll of the die, you can become anything you want. So, what is a role-playing game? It is a long-standing tradition to include a short introduction called "What is a role-playing game?" in the beginning of RPG rulebooks. This text is always a brief explanation of what role-playing games are, as well as an outline of the typical RPG session. In essence, role-playing games are born from the oral tradition of storytelling. But instead of a single storyteller entertaining their tribe or their local community by playing all the characters in the story, the game session is an interactive story where everyone has their part to play. To play a role-playing game, you need at least 2 people, though 3 or 4 is preferable. One person usually has some sort of important sounding title. We could call her the Game Master, or GM. The other participants are simply called the players. Each player creates an avatar to act as their agent in the unfolding story. The avatar, or character, is made up of the player's imagination, words and improvised actions. Like a character in a book or movie, your character should have an interesting background, quirky habits, views and beliefs, and other traits that makes her a fun-to-play instrument of your will in the story world. And that, my friends, is really the essence of the role-playing game. The role-playing part of the game. The game aspect means that each player comes up with a character that is assigned a set of skills, statistics and traits, often represented by a number that shows the level of competency the character has when it comes to jumping, fencing, picking pockets, conjuring demons, or flying alien spacecrafts, and so on. Typically, but not always, you roll a die to discover if your desired action plays out as you want it to. The number on the die, compared with the level of your skill, indicates if you succeed to bend the story in your favor. It is a game master's task to come up with some sort of plot outline for the story, as well as playing all the other characters that appear. She is also the final arbiter of all the rules, and may even supersede the rules of the game if it suits the story. When the game starts, the GM describes to the players where their characters are and what is going on around them, and then she'll ask, what are you going to do now? Each player in turn will describe what actions they wish to take. Using the rules of the game, the players and game master determine what happens when the players attempt their actions and whether or not they succeed. And that's a very brief representation of role-playing. And now we're going to listen to a short clip, around 2 minutes, of the actual gameplay session. I think, or maybe not. Let's see if I can do it this way. No.
Try to unplug it from the speakers because that happened earlier.
This one here. In the
Just
back.
take it out of your computer.
Like so. And back in. You can't really hear this.
No.
So let's not, because it's coming from this one. So let's skip this part.
Yeah, just leave.
Right. That's not. It's not important. We just wanted to give a short little experience of what it sounds like. But let's ditch that idea and move on. So Anna, please.
Okay, so I'm going to break all of your rules now. I have I revised it, and I am going to say heterotopia, and I am going to mention Foucault. I'm sorry. Right. Okay, so we're using the world of Lorenzburg and its history as a form of heterotopia. The hetero in heterotopia suggests that there are two distinct places. These places can be in opposition to each other, and according to Foucault, neither a utopia nor a dystopia. They are another place. For Lorenzburg, these distinct places are the fictional world of the Micronation, in which we are currently inhabiting, and the wider real world. This evening, we are inviting you to help us explore and expand the heterotopia of Lorenzburg. Within this other world, as you've seen from the tapestry, both real and imagined histories intertwine, and the line between magic and reality is thoroughly smudged. My ancestor did carry a heart to another country, for example. Okay, we are exploring the heterotopic world of Lorenzburg through the medium of a role-playing game, as Freï has explained. The process of selecting the right RPG system and playtesting has proved to be, in itself, a rich source for exploring this topic. Over the past year and a half, I have tested 5 different RPG systems with around 40 different players. This has led me to become involved in the Stockholm role-playing community, primarily with the Stockholm Role-Playing Guild. The Guild is both a physical space where members meet once a month, and it's an online community. I argue that the Stockholm Role-Playing Guild is a heterotopic counter-site. Foucault, in All Other Spaces, describes a heterotopic counter-site as having several characteristics. One is that a counter-site is where, and I quote, individuals whose behaviour is deviant in relation to the required mean or norm are placed, end quote. The Guild meets this characteristic as the members often view themselves as nerds and therefore outside of mainstream culture. They are people from varied walks of life coming together to create a temporary place for themselves. Another of Foucault's characteristics that the Guild encompasses is that it juxtaposes multiple incompatible places. When a Guild meeting occurs, several different imaginary spaces come into existence side by side. So typically there are 6 tables where 6 different games are taking place. So whether you're flying that spaceship, or you're fighting a dragon with a sword, or maybe there's a budding romance going on over here. All of these places are now inhabiting the same place, close together. This relation between imaginary story space and heterotopic space is reflected in other academic work around heterotopia and the theatre. Mei-Ling Cheng, in Highways, LA Multiple Communities in a Heterolocus, describes the theatre as a heterotopic as heterotopic through its ability to juxtapose in a single real place several incompatible sites. For example, the changing scenes in a play on a single stage, much like the changing scenes in a role-playing game on a single table. So additionally, like the heterotopic nature of the theatre, the guild is this temporary physical space. It opens and closes, setting it apart from other places, much like the theatrical convention of dropping the curtain when the performance is over. This opening and closing of the guild relates to another of Foucault's characteristics of countersite, as it is both isolated and penetrable. The games are gathered into one area, isolation, but also penetrable as one may join the club. Finally, the guild incorporates the characteristic of linking together slices of time. So, much like Foucault's example of a museum. As a museum is a place where artefacts from different periods are collected together. Similarly, the guild's games play out in a wide range of times and are gathered in one place. Okay, so moving on from the guild and the RPG table as a heterotopic site, the RPG can be understood as a transformative place. It is somewhere you can experience yourself as a heterotopia, a fluid identity where you can become anything. An RPG has a dynamic energy that is always already in transition. The RPG is a crisis energy, as described by Joan Gordon in Hybridity, Heterotopia, Makeshift and China Behavioural's Perdue Street Station, a really good book if you don't know it. Working in relation to narrative, Gordon argues that this crisis energy exists as long as there remains a conversation between the characters. Now, the RPG format is wholly made up of conversation. So, as the players are performing, the game itself is always embodying this crisis energy. As the players take on the roles of these characters within the table, as I said, they temporarily transform themselves and solve the story-based crisis as well within the game. The transformative experience of heterotopia in RPGs can in turn have an effect on the real world it blurs its edges with. For me, the body of work with Lourenzburg is a way to explore my identity as both a dual citizen and as a way of finding connections to Sweden as an immigrant. Through creating this body of work, I've become more embedded into Stockholm. For example, as a result of a year or so of playtests, I've been fortunate to establish a new Stockholm friendship group. And another transformation leading into the real world from RPGs is actually from my husband. He is the archetypical shy Swede. Very quiet man, doesn't say so much. But as we've been playing RPGs over the past year and a half, and he's been embodying these much more confident characters, he's suddenly started talking more. And people are commenting on this and saying, oh, obviously he has a lot to say now. It's like, yeah. And so you can see this blurring between the embodiment and the real life in my husband's case. So, the schema of heterotopia, according to Neil Easterbrook, and I quote, is the rhizome, a model of rhetorical, semiotic, intertextual, heterotopic space. So a lot of big words there. Okay, so the rhizome, a concept explored in depth by Deleuze and Guattari's 1,000 Plateaus, is in its essence an argument that everything is interconnected. This interconnection is non-hierarchical and non-binary. It has planar and trans-species connection. Therefore, a heterotopia fosters hybrids. The format of the RPG, in particular the system we'll be using, lends itself to creating and exploring heterotopic space as it is at its core non-hierarchical. We're all telling the story together, it's not just one person. The players and the game master are collaborating, and additionally the story itself is non-linear as the group just takes the speed, the order and the detail in which it occurs. When playing the game, each time the key plot points are achieved, the details are a little bit different. So this difference can be found in where peripheral characters are present and what they are like when they interacted with each other, for example. So through past playtesting and hopefully through playing games this evening, we're hoping to create more of these differences and more of these hybrids. So we want variations, we want to create historical inaccuracies and bias. So much like how Abby had two different takes on the same person earlier. We're hoping to create that in our history through doing the role-playing game, basically. So this project also embraces rhizomatic elements or hybridization through the story content itself. The narrative brings together historical fact, such as the carrying of the harps, Irish legend, and the fantastical. These elements further combine with typical RPG concepts to create hybrids of fantastical objects, creatures, situations, and people. A hybridized creature is, for example, the dwarf guard. This is a hybrid in the biological sense, as it combines an orc and a dwarf. And the game system itself also encourages hybridizations, as you're free to interpret this as you will. So, for example, you, Joe, may want to be a dwarf warrior who is very quick to action and perhaps gets a little bit angry when hungry. Whereas you, for example, Katarina, may want to play a very soulful dwarf who actually, on arriving at the shore, is so inspired that they're going to write a poem. So you can see that there's differences that immediately play out in how you interpret the character. So, in conclusion, here at NSU, we are exploring the heterotopic in a few ways. As a physical space, like Stockholm's role-playing guild, and in an abstract way through the dual worlds of reality and fantasy. We also intend to uncover a previously undefined part of Lorenzburg's history through playing the game. My intention is that this story content will further inform narrative objects like this tapestry. So we hope to see some of you later, and if you become a guest of honour, we will of course affix your lovely signature to our certificate here.
Thank you.
We have 7 minutes, so
Yes.
everyone questions.
Baroness Anna Frew H.S.H is awarded the Order of the Flame of Lourenzburg.
Viva!
And hands, my lords, ladies and gentlemen, for services to the crown. Hands, gehulliget, Hun's hands, raised to the rank and title of Baron of the Realm of Lorenzburg, and bestows with it the name Dila Mantua.
Vivat! And now, if you have any questions, please feel free.
Yeah, what do you need to do to become part of Lorenzburg?
Yes, well, you
Are there
can-
steps you go through? So she knows her.
well, she's both a baroness and she has the Order of Lorenzburg. They don't necessarily go together. But what you do is you invest your ideas, your time, your soul, basically. but not much. Oh, I'm sure. You'll have plenty to spare still. But the thing is with Lorenzburg, it's the largest community art group. Do you want to join us also?
Yes.
That I have been working on for a few years now. My parents sold our house when I lived abroad. I moved back home and it was gone. My home was gone. And I think this Freudian typo I actually made came out from extreme nostalgia and sorrow. So I'm recreating an idealized version of the place where I grew up. And in this fairy tale version of it, I invite people who actually live there. It's around 1,650 people, so quite a few actually. But also friends and artist colleagues who are struck by some kind of idea that they want to realize within the Lourenzburg mythos. And so if you aspire to climb socially, approach me with an offer I can't refuse, and I'm sure we'll find you in wardrobe or something.
So how I got involved was after NSU 2 years ago. I saw Freï's presentation and I was full of ideas, and on the bus on the way back to the airport I kept walking up to Freï and going, what about this? And what about this? And I have this ancestor that carried this heart and it was really cool and we should try and make that work somehow with Lorenzburg. And then obviously 2 years later here we are, and a whole tapestry and system of work that's come as a result of this initial enthusiasm. So yeah, go and talk to Freï, maybe not even on the bus, you can just speak to him anytime.
You could come to a role-playing game session. There will be snacks and orders for everybody. Any other questions?
It's fine.
Please.
Making a nice tapestry would be a way to become an inhabitant.
Yes, yes. Or something else that you want to make, or a snippet of story, or some made gin. We aren't too fussy, but I thought we could just bring something to the table, and I'm sure we'll find it.
Joe has been threatening a Lourenzburg gin.
Well, as a little tip from the expert, that would be a really good way to earn your Eduardo.
Yeah, I was curious about the heraldics of Lorenzburg, about the symbol you chose.
Yes. Well, yes. Which one?
The invitation, I think.
Oh, yeah. It's actually a seal stamp for the House of Nobility.
But is there a little, is there a sun under the...
well, I think it's just decoration. Like they did back there, they just filled things out. It's called diapering. Yeah, that's a verb. It's called diapering. It's like horror bakui. If you want to fill out things with decorative elements, that's called diapering in heraldry. So I think it's just diapering. Any other questions, or are you stunned, or maybe comatose from this long day? It's been long.
So, since you're royal, and have you got a family tree so we can check if our ancestors actually were coming from?
Yes, yes. You can find on my webpage. If you get my card, you can find all the way back to 1238 when my first ancestor was born.
Well, you may find a convenient connection, as I did,
yes,
with my own family.
I think it often happens in fairy tales. There just so happens there is a long lost relative that could fit into the family tree somehow.
So I did discover a Swedish connection, much to my surprise. So maybe you too will find some surprise connection.
Let's compare family trees and see if there are any overlaps. Yes, I did a speculative genealogy project a few years ago where I needed to invent a long line of ancestors to give some glamour to my royal status. So I have invented some people. I know my ancestors back to 1501, but before that we don't have a record in Sweden mostly. So I filled in the gaps with a good portion of imagination. And that's actually I did see someone else wanting to ask, but find us and ask questions. Now please just give a round of applause for Hans, our aide de camp, who's come here to facilitate as well.